December 14, 1944, Subic Bay, Philippines. Dawn. A dirty Japanese freighter called Oryoku Maru rocks gently at anchor. From the sky, she looks like any other enemy cargo ship. No markings, no flag, nothing special. But down in her holds, 1,619 American officers and senior enlisted men are already living a nightmare. These are the guys who held Bataan and Corregidor until the very end. They've marched the Death March, spent 3 years in Cabanatuan and Bilibid, and somehow stayed alive. Now the Japanese have decided to ship them to Japan as slave labor. They've herded all 1,619 into the forward hold. There's no room to sit, barely room to breathe. The temperature is climbing past 120 degrees before the sun is even fully up. Men are naked because clothes just make the heat worse. The floor is already slick with sweat and dysentery. One small wooden bucket serves as the toilet for nearly 2,000 men. At 8:12 in the morning, the first American planes appear. Hellcats and Corsairs from the USS Hornet. They see an unmarked Japanese ship and they attack. The Japanese crew slams the hatches, jumps into lifeboats, and rows away. For the next 7 hours, American bombs and bullets tear the Oryoku Maru apart. Inside the hold, it is hell on earth. The temperature shoots past 150 degrees. Men are literally cooked alive. Shrapnel rips through the thin deck plates. The screams never stop. When the planes finally leave, the ship is on fire and listing hard. Over 300 Americans are already dead. That evening, the Japanese guards come back. Any prisoner who tries to jump overboard for water is machine-gunned on the spot. That was only the beginning of the voyage. The survivors are transferred to 2 more ships over the next month. By the time the last one, Brazil Maru, limps into Japan in January 1945, only 450 of the original 1,619 are still breathing. This wasn't bad luck. This was policy. Between 1942 and 1945, the Japanese did the same thing 156 times. They took ordinary cargo ships, stripped every marking, crammed Allied prisoners into the holds like sardines, and sent them across the Pacific. 126,000 men in total. Americans, British, Australians, Dutch, Canadians. More than 21,000 never saw land again. That's more than died on the Bataan Death March and the whole Burma Railway combined. And the cruelest part? A lot of them were killed by their own side. American and British submarines and aircraft sank at least 15 of these ships because Japan made sure no one knew prisoners were on board. The Japanese called the prisoners human sandbags. The men inside just called it hell. Let me take you through what it was really like. The moment the hatch closed, the darkness was total. No lights, no portholes, no fresh air. The heat built fast. You stripped naked because any clothing became torture. Within a day, the toilet buckets overflowed. The floor turned into a sliding lake of filth. You stood in it up to your ankles. Water came once a day, half a canteen if you were strong enough to fight to the ladder. If you were weak, you got nothing. Food was a single golf ball of rice lowered in a bucket on a rope. If you couldn't reach it, you starved. Dysentery hit everyone. Beriberi swelled your feet until the skin split. Tropical ulcers ate to the bone. Men went insane from thirst. Some saw oceans of lemonade running down the walls and tried to lick the rust. Others screamed for hours about ice-cold beer. On at least 9 voyages, men turned to cannibalism, cutting strips from the dead with broken spoons or shards of glass. One British doctor wrote in a secret diary, "I have seen things here that would make the devil himself throw up." The worst voyages still turn stomachs 80 years later. September 18, 1944, Junyo Maru, 6,500 men aboard. British submarine HMS Tradewind puts 2 torpedoes into her. She goes down in 18 minutes, 5,620 dead. Still the biggest maritime disaster in history. October 24, 1944, Arisan Maru, 1,784 Americans. USS Shark II torpedoes her. Japanese crew takes every lifeboat. Only 9 men escape the hold. 1,775 lost. September 12, 1944, Rakuyo Maru. 1,318 Aussies and Brits. USS Sea Lion II sinks her. The American submarine actually comes back days later and rescues 73 survivors floating on rafts. The captain breaks down when he learns who they are. September 7, 1944, Shinyo Maru, 750 Americans. USS Paddle sinks her. 82 swim 9 miles to shore in the Philippines and are hidden by guerrillas, the only big group that lived to testify in court. And the Oryoku Maru voyage we started with, the one that took 3 ships and 50 days to kill 1,169 men. American submarine captains spent the rest of their lives haunted. Some kept a bottle in the drawer and drank every year on the anniversary. Many never told their families what they had done. When the war ended and the truth came out, you would think there would be fury. There wasn't. At the Tokyo trials, the hell ships barely came up. A handful of low-ranking officers got light sentences. The men who signed the orders walked free. Japan burned almost all the shipping records in August 1945. America classified hundreds of survivor reports for decades so newspapers wouldn't scream, "U.S. Navy killed our own boys." The survivors came home broken. Most never spoke of it again, not to wives, not to children. And the world moved on to celebrate victory and the atomic bomb. But 21,000 men went into those black holes. They didn't die with rifles in their hands on some heroic battlefield. They died naked in the dark, choking on their own filth, praying the next torpedo wasn't American. The last hell ship, Akebono Maru, docked in Japan on August 15, 1945, the same day the Emperor announced surrender. The war ended just hours after those final survivors staggered onto the pier. They weighed less than 80 pounds each. 80 years have passed since December 14, 1944, the morning American bombs started falling on American prisoners screaming in the hold of Oryoku Maru. Those screams should still echo, because as bad as the Bataan Death March was, for thousands of forgotten men, the real hell didn't end when the marching stopped. It started when the hatch slammed shut and the ship pulled away from the pier. They deserve to be remembered. And now you remember them.